Welcome back to On Tap Bets, presented by On Tap Sports. He's Joey Ricotta. I'm Iowa Zach. We got another stacked slate of bets to run through tonight. But before we do, are you looking for a better place to bet? Well, we got you covered. On Tap Sportsnet has a partnership with Bet Rivers, and our listeners get a free first-time deposit match up to $250 just by going to betrivers.com and using promo code ONTAP. That's promo code ONTAP. I say it every week. I'll say it again. It's free money, folks. Go get it. What are you waiting for? Joey, brother, how you doing this week?
Good, Zach. Good. It's always fun hopping on here to talk some betting with you. And I think we have a pretty loaded slate. So I'm ready to dive in, man. How are you doing?
I'm awesome, man. Yeah. It's a great night for me. We were chatting offline. It's been kind of a long week for both of us, I think. And actually, I know it's Thursday, but I'm on vacation tomorrow. The wife and I are packing up, headed over to Chicago. We're going to spend the weekend there. It's our birthday weekend. So we're going to go see our Sox play on tomorrow night, play Friday night. And we're going to stay over and do some fun stuff Saturday as well. So I'm pumped, man. I've been waiting for Thursday night all week. So I'm glad it's here.
Hell yeah. They got to
do it. I was just going to say, also, I finally got my hands on these dope Busch Light limited edition cans. I just had to shout these out because they're so freaking cool. It's got like a little camo and little almost hunting theme. It's pretty awesome. I don't know if you get those over in your neck of the woods, Joey, or not, but I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, man. I've seen them. I've definitely seen them. Haven't had any of those in quite a while, but those are pretty cool looking.
Yeah, for
Probably
sure.
Better tasting, but cool looking too.
Well, so how'd you do last week, betting wise?
Well, I was a little bit under the subpar. Let's say that college I was a little bit under 500 for sides and totals, and then the NFL rolled around, and for the prop bets article, I was 5-6. Of course, Darius Slayton had to go down with an injury, and Justin Fields and Matt Nagy's offense never even took the field.
I have a feeling we'll spend some time on that tonight.
Yeah, not looking forward to that part of it, but I'm looking forward to talking about what could be with these other games. And sides and totals wise for NFL, I was 5-3. So that on top of a $25 free bet that I had that I parlayed, and that made up for my entire weekend of terrible betting.
There you go.
So it was all in all, I probably either I made a little bit or I lost a little bit. I have to go back and look, but it wasn't crazy. But yeah, man, let's do it. How was your week?
I actually had a pretty good week. 6-3 in college, but this week reminded me why I am almost an exclusive spread bettor. I know, Joe, you get big into the props. I don't, and I really don't get much into totals either. I'm kind of a boring bettor, but it's where I've had success. I was 5-1 on spreads, and 1-2 on totals, so it came out to 6-3 overall. 5-3 in the NFL as well, so I matched you there, so a little bit up. But my highlight of the week was actually the Ryder Cup, and I know we talked about it a little bit last episode. I sort of cleaned house, Joey. So I had the USA on a 2.5 point spread, and they dominated the rest of the world. So USA, let's go. I did win some money though on some Europeans. So I had Rahm and Garcia in a round 1 Moneyline matchup. They won that. Then I took Rahm to go over 2.5 points for the whole event, and he cleared that. Yeah, I think he ended up with 3.5 or even 4. I did lose the overall. I put some money on some guys to be the overall point leaders. Dustin Johnson ended up taking that title. My guy Colin Morikawa, who was plus 1,200, he ended up second. So just shy. So I lost on those, but overall I did pretty well on the Ryder Cup. I was pretty happy. And the event was awesome. I don't know if you got a chance to watch much, but it was awesome. He just whooped their ass.
I wanted to watch more of it. I tried to, I was in and out every once in a while. Just with the football going on, it's like hard for me to keep up with everything sometimes. But
yeah.
It was a good event from what I saw, and I mean, I'm glad you cleaned house there. So it's a successful weekend all the way around for you.
Yeah, we won't mention our on tap locks, Joey. Let's just
Oh God, I forgot all about that for a second.
So I think we did okay overall, but man, we each picked a couple locks and we went 0-4. We should.
You know what? You know why that
that,
is? You know why that is? I'll tell you right now. You had a lock on a game that I proposed.
Yeah.
And I had a lock on a guy that got hurt on a game that I proposed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and one of the games that you picked against, I also had in my locks. So it was doomed from the get-go. We were, it was nuts. But hey, let's turn it around this week.
Let's go. All right, let's jump in. As always, let's start with some college football. And I'm pumped to start with this game, and I think you are too. Our number 5 Iowa Hawkeyes going to Maryland this week. Hawkeyes are laying 3 points, and the over-under is 47.5. Both these guys coming in at 4-0. So this is the battle of a couple Big Ten undefeated teams. Iowa's coming off a 10-point win against Colorado State. They were 24-point favorites in that game, Joey, and honestly, didn't look that great for the first at least half. So they didn't cover that spread. Maryland coming off a 37-16 win against Kent State. They were 13.5-point favorites, so they did cover that spread. Like I said with this one, I was a little frustrated with Iowa to start. Coming in as 24-point favorites, they're trailing 14-7 at the half. They just looked. It was almost like they were looking past this for some reason, which is not something a Kirk Ferentz team does. Scott Crawford coming in, Iowa by 14. # book it. I love it, Scott.
Let's go.
Petrus looked okay. Looked good. 224 yards, 2 touchdowns. Did throw 1 pick. But Iowa just 54 rushing yards against Colorado State, which was a little troubling. I mean, that should be a strength. Maryland coming in here. This is a high potent offense, Joey. They've thrown for 330 yards in all 4 of their games, and they're averaging 166 on the ground. So that makes me a little nervous. You've got the young Tagovailoa in there. Their running back Tavon Fleet Davis looks great. And they're scoring 37.2 points a game, but they haven't played anybody, Joey. I mean, West Virginia was that was a strong one to open, and I won't take away from that. But since then, Howard, Illinois, Kent State opponents. So I don't want to say they haven't played anybody, but the competition level's been low. I'm not quite sure what to make of it. I don't want to take away from Tagovailoa. That kid is a freak, just like his brother was. Solid quarterback, solid offense there. But they allowed 308 yards passing against Kent State. So that's some cause for concern on the defensive side there. Iowa defense has been solid, as we know. I mean, it's Kirk Ferentz Big Ten defense, baby. 84.5 rushing yards per game. I'm going Iowa. There's probably some bias in there. I will say against my comment, the Sharps are on Maryland, which makes me a little concerned. The spread did open at 4.5 and was quickly bet down. So Maryland's getting 62% of the bets. There's 62% of the tickets on this game. If you want to shy away from the spread, I will throw out a stat here for you guys. These 2 teams are 7-1 to the under this year. If you're a trend better, maybe go for that. But I am going to lean Iowa, lay the points. I think it's going to be a bounce back week for a team that they underperformed last week. Let's be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they played down to their opponent. It seemed like, really, like you said. I mean, I think they got to get Goodson going on the ground. They really need to do that. I think there's an opportunity there to do that against Maryland. I mean, we'll see though. I mean, Maryland, as good as baby Tagovailoa has been, he did throw a bunch of picks last year. And Maryland's read option, that attack, it's at least 131 yards rushing in every game this season. So behind, Tayon Fleet Davis, 7.1 yards per carry. I mean, but I don't have any real concerns with Iowa's defense here, being able to hold up to them as far as that goes, because I think they really have a strong defensive unit, as you said. I mean, when you got Jack Campbell, he just won Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week after a career high 18 tackles against Colorado State, 3 pass breakups, a fumble recovery, and their secondary is really solid too. I mean, you got Jack Corner, Riley Moss, Matt Hankins. These guys are legit in the secondary too. So, I mean, with all that said, I also liked what I saw from Spencer Petras. I know people like to give him a lot of crap. They talk about EPA and stuff like that, expected points added and him being towards the bottom of the nation. What he did last week, though, with the new addition of Keegan Johnson, I mean, he's a true freshman receiver, but really explosive, gets downfield. I mean, we saw Iowa and Petras attempt and connect on more downfield passes this last week. Completed 5 passes of more than 20 yards and 3 that went for 34 yards or more, including a 43-yard score to Johnson and then another 49-yard connection to him. So, I really think, you call me a homer, just like you, I like Iowa laying the points here. And like you said, Maryland really hasn't played that strong of a schedule yet. I'm looking into the under on this too, but because of what you mentioned about them going under a lot, both these teams. But yeah, I'll lay it with the Hawks here. Caw-caw!
Yeah. Love it. Yeah, Maryland actually hasn't gone over once this year. So the Hawks have one time. So I found that interesting. I hope we're right, Joey, and hopefully we're not just being homers here. I don't think we are. I think there's some good play there.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Number 8, Arkansas at number 2, Georgia. Georgia laying 18 points against a top 10 opponent here, Joey. That's a pretty big number. Over and under 48.5. But both these guys coming in 4-0. Arkansas coming off an impressive 20-10 win over A&M as 4.5-point underdogs. I won money on that one last week. Georgia coming off a 62-0 win over Vanderbilt as 36-point favorites, so not a whole lot to take away there other than an absolute ass whooping. I'll let you start on this one. Where you falling?
Woo, pig suey. I like the Razorbacks here. I mean, before I even start my analysis, I'll just say that Sam Pittman's crew, I think they'll do enough to keep it close. I mean, getting 18 points, I really like the under here too, because I don't see there being much room for offense in this game. At 48.5 points, it does feel like a lot. I mean, the Razorbacks are off to a hot start. 4-0, wins over Rice. They smoked Texas. Georgia Southern, Texas A&M. That's a really good opponent with a really good defense too on that side with Texas A&M. But the Bulldogs also have a hot start. 4-0, obviously 2-0 in the conference. I don't know. Quarterback KJ Jefferson, the dual threat. He's dealing with a knee injury, and Treylon Burks is also hurting. So, but both of those guys are expected to play. And on the other side, with Georgia, JT Daniels is also dealing with a lat injury. So, which isn't being talked about much this week as I'm looking through things and trying to pick up on what's going out there with national media and stuff like that. It's not really being talked about that much. So, Georgia's defense has been insane, obviously. They're allowing the fewest points per game. They have a very strong unit. We know that. But Texas A&M is second, and Arkansas just beat them. So Arkansas, number 8 in pass defense and number 10 against third downs. So their defense is strong too. I mean, I think there's just way too many points here, man. I don't know. What do you think?
100% with you. Too many points. I'm sitting here looking at the numbers, and Georgia's defense is so scary. It's like, how do you bet against them? You're right. Number 1 in the country. And to put some numbers to that, Joey, 5.8 points per game is what they've allowed.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's fucking crazy. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. But, and that's 69.5 rushing yards per game too. So that adds into that. But yeah, what Arkansas did against A&M last week, and, maybe I'm trying to ride my hot hand too, winning money on them, but it was impressive. 246 passing, 197 on the ground. And that's, like you said, against an A&M team that was stout. It only allowed 77 rush yards per game leading into that. So Arkansas showed that they can hit the trenches and go toe to toe with a good defense. KJ Jefferson, you mentioned him, 8 total TDs. He's just crazy. And they're doing it both ways. Treylon Smith on the ground, 230 yards per game. and another 3 backs in that backfield that are getting significant touches as well. So it's just a stout offense. To throw some trends in there as well, because I'm kind of a nerd trend guy. Arkansas is 4-0 against the spread. Georgia's 3-1, but so Arkansas hasn't not covered once yet, and they're getting 83% of the bets and 70% of the money, Joey. So don't take our word for it. There's a lot of sharps and a lot of public folks out there on our side as well. Yeah, I'm taking the points all day, baby.
Let's go. Let's
Scott
ride.
Crawford is actually, look at this, giving me the hogs on the money line.
Ooh, Scott baby. Coming in with the fire. Is that Iowa, Scott?
Yeah, no, Scott Crawford.
There's Scott from Iowa, or like he's on, because they changed it, right? We're not on Twitter anymore.
Right. Yeah. No, we are just not on Periscope.
I mean, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yep.
That's what's up, Scott. I like the confidence there.
That's some balls, man. Maybe I'll sprinkle some on and join you. We can celebrate together.
There we go.
Michigan, Wisconsin. Michigan ranked number 14. Wisconsin, though, laying 1.5 points on this one, Joey. The over-under sitting at 43.5 right now. Wisconsin, 1-2. We've seen them have a tough start to the year. Not tough in terms of performance, but tough in terms of opponents. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Michigan 4-0. But again, I think everybody, even the national pundits, are sitting here asking if Michigan's for real. And I'm not sure we know yet. You've got Wisconsin unranked right now, but losses to Penn State and Notre Dame, last week. I've got some thoughts on that Notre Dame game too. That was pretty wild. A lot of defensive work done there. So that, a 41-12 loss to Notre Dame, and they were 6.5 point favorites and didn't cover. Michigan coming off a 20-13 win over Rutgers, but they were 20.5 point favorites. So, again, I sitting here asking myself, is Michigan for real? They whooped up on Western Michigan, Washington, and Northern Illinois before facing a Big Ten opponent and, winning, but nowhere near what they were expected to do there. Just 112 yards rushing in that game. And, Michigan had been putting up over 330 yards on the ground in their first 3 games. So that kind of shows you the dichotomy of their opponents here. I do think Wisconsin's been underperforming a bit. I will say that. They haven't looked sharp. They haven't looked, super impressive. 4 interceptions and just 1 of 14 on third downs last week against Notre Dame. But they held Notre Dame, Joey, to 3 rushing yards. 3 yards. If you sit there and look at the lineup from that Notre Dame-Wisconsin game, or I shouldn't say the lineup, but the stat output, it's almost neck and neck. You're sitting there going, how did Notre Dame win this game by 30-some, 20-some points? The answer is 4 interceptions. 2 of those were resulted in touchdowns. I can't ride with a Michigan team that I'm not sure I've seen enough from, and bet against a Wisconsin team who I think has lost in a little bit of a fluky way so far. I'm taking Wisconsin and laying the points.
Well, this is no fucking fun.
We can't agree on everything, Joey. You gotta go against me.
Yeah, well, I can't hear.
No, for sure.
This is no fucking fun. I'll tell you why I agree with you. I'm glad that you hit on those points with the third down conversions, the 1 of 14 rate. That was big, I thought, obviously, for Wisconsin. I mean, Graham Mertz, can he be any freaking worse than he was last week?
No.
There's no possible way, right? Especially against Michigan compared to Notre Dame. Notre Dame's got a better defense. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. I think they have a better defense. But Mertz just looked like crap. He was terrible. And more yards per play. You mentioned it with the box score. I mean, more yards per play was for Wisconsin, though. So they really did. I mean, pretty much every portion of the box score they owned outside of the turnovers, and I will never forgive Graham Mertz for pushing this total over. I don't understand how he pushed this total over. I had the under on that game. I thought it was in the bag going into that fourth quarter, and just ridiculous. But anyways, I digress here. I mean, we correctly picked Rutgers to cover against Michigan, right? We did. We both picked that. I thought Cade McNamara had a chance to throw on their secondary with the CBs being out, but he only threw for 7 passing yards in the second half. Honestly, I don't think they attempted enough passes. Only 16 for the game, but that still gives me some cause for concern there with Michigan on that side. And even though, Wisconsin can have a spotty secondary at times, I don't know. I'm still not sure what to make of Michigan, like you said. And this is a big challenge. Them going into Camp Randall.
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh's teams, they've struggled on the road in the past. And the Badgers should get back to using more of Ches Malusi, I think, and Isaac Garendo. Those running backs. The D line is very good. Michigan's O-line, they had second half struggles versus Rutgers. That's what led to a lot of the only 7 yards passing in the second half. Give me the Bucky Badgers laying the points. I think they bounce back behind the strong D line and fewer miscues here. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. All right. I think every week so far we've talked Cincinnati, and we're going to talk about them again this week.
Scott's cracking me up right now, though.
Yeah, he's on fire. He says, "Fuck Bucky." # fight for Iowa. Give me Michigan. All right, man. You take Michigan. Number 7, Cincinnati at who we were just talking about. Number 9, Notre Dame. Cincinnati laying 1.5. Over unders 50.5. Another battle of the undefeateds here. Cincinnati's 3-0. Notre Dame 4-0. This is one of your teams, Joey. I want to hear what you think about this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, just like Wisconsin, that was just a tough game for me to watch last week with Wisconsin and Notre Dame. I didn't care who won, but it was a fun game to watch till the end. Wrong team favorite here. That's what I'm going to say. I think Notre Dame, they've given up only 13 points in each of their last 2 games. The defensive unit, they're starting to gel a little bit. They're forcing turnovers. They need to get Kyren Williams going on the ground, though. Just like Mr. D. This is main guitar doing ground control. they need to start doing that with Kyren Williams. He's only averaging 3.81 per carry after averaging 5.3 last year and going over 1,100 yards rushing. So he only had 33 against the Badgers. We kind of alluded to that game a little bit. Cincinnati has given up 138 rush yards per game. And on the other side, Desmond Ridder, though, he's been very good. When he gets time to throw and process, he's been very good. I think what's going to be important, though, in this game, Isaiah Foskey on the edge. He's talented enough to beat these Cincy linemen. He was more concerned with setting the edge and stopping the run against Wisconsin. But I'm looking for him to have a big day here. Give me the Fighting Irish and give me the under in this game. Two pretty solid defenses. So I like the under and I like the Irish.
You just go money line on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. I will take the points. Obviously, I'll take the points, but I do think they win this game outright. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the opposite side, Joey. I'm not sure I'm convinced about the consistency of Notre Dame's offense, and you put them up against this defense, and I'm just not comfortable with it. Cincinnati looked a little bit off a couple weeks ago against Indiana. We were kind of tweeting back and forth, at least to start, right? And then kind of came back and took that one. I don't like that this is this is Cincinnati on the road. I'm not super comfortable about this bet. I did kind of follow some sharp money because I wasn't 100% sure where to leave. So Cincinnati getting 31% of the bets, but 47% of the money. So there's a 16% difference there from the sharps. I'm going to lean Cincy -1.5. But I was actually looking at the under maybe as a more comfort bet for me.
I think that is the best bet of the game, to be honest. If we're being 100% honest, I think the under is the best play here. I can't fault you for going with Cincy, though. This is going to be a good game that I'm just looking forward to watching. Yeah. And as a Badgers fan, it makes me nervous. So, or as an Irish fan, sorry, Badgers, Irish, Hawkeyes. I
was going to say, yeah,
I'm a weirdo, like I said.
All right, moving on. Number 12, Ole Miss going to the big dogs. Number 1, Alabama. Alabama laying 14.5 on this one. The over/under is 79.5. Crazy number. Alabama 4-0. Ole Miss also undefeated at 3-0. Mississippi coming off 4 40-point win over Tulsa as 14-point favorites. So again, not much to take away from that. And then Alabama 63-14 win over Southern Miss. So again, 45.5-point favorites. These are two just, can't take much out of that. I don't know, man. What more is there to say about Alabama? I mean, best team in the country. It's not close. Bryce Young already has over 1,100 yards and a QB rating of 188.5, which is fifth in the country. It's crazy. That said, Ole Miss is sitting here scoring 52.7 points a game. That's best in the country, Joey. So you've got a couple solid offenses here. Quarterback Matt Corral for Ole Miss, 997 through the air with 9 TDs already on the season. Yeah. Not a single interception. And he also has 5 rushing TDs. So you're talking about a dual threat, just stud of a quarterback there. The difference, though, is it's been against some questionable opponents, right? They started out their season against Louisville. We won't take away from that. That was a solid win. But then Austin Peay and Tulane. Alabama, they've got Miami on their docket already. Florida win over Florida. So a little more quality opponents for Alabama. A couple trends I was looking at because, with such a big spread on this, I didn't know where to lay. So Ole Miss 3-0 against the spread, and then I'm looking Alabama, didn't cover against Florida. I won money on that. So maybe there's a little bias here. I'm taking the points. I feel a lot like I felt on the Georgia game. It's too many points for it to be for this sort of matchup. And, I still think it's Alabama by 10, but I'm pretty comfortable taking 14.5 for the potent offense like Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that you are on this side again because I thought the time that I jump on this side is the time that you're going to hop off and then I'm going to be just left in the dust and just hung out to dry because I remember when we talked about that Alabama and Florida game and I said I just can't bet against Alabama.
Yeah.
Ole Miss on the points. Bama ain't Bama of old. Quite giving them credit for beating Southwestern Alabama School for the blind. Scott, that's Scott. Anyways, but no, I honestly, I couldn't do it there, and I was wrong. You were clearly right about that Florida matchup, and kudos to you. You nailed that game. But I think here the reason why I'm getting on as well is because I think Ole Miss really is the real deal, especially offensively. And, we know that that's why the total was as high as it is. Yesterday, I saw it as high as 80. I mean, it just an insane amount of points expected in this game from Vegas. I could see this game going under just because that's a ton of freaking points, but I don't want to bet it against these two offenses. You got the Heisman leading candidate in Matt Corral, and you got the runner-up probably right now or the second favorite in Bryce Young. So how do you even bet the under in this game? I mean, I can't do it. I think Ole Miss is getting hyped up, though, as this pass-heavy offense behind under Lane Kiffin. But this season, they're throwing less than they have in years past, especially under him. They're 105th in passing play rate. Meanwhile, they're running the ball at the 26th highest rate. And Jarian Ely has over 6 yards per carry this season, and Bama allows right around 4 yards per carry. So I think that's where I'm finding my edge here. Matt Corral, like you said, he can also run. He's got a bunch of rushing TDs himself. I think Lane Kiffin will devise a strong enough game plan here to keep this thing close in what obviously could be a shootout. But, give me the Rebels here, plus the points. I like that, plus 14.5.
Yeah, I always feel with a high number like that they're just baiting you.
For sure.
I mean? So anything that sticks out like that, totals up in the 70s, I don't mess with. That's just a personal approach.
Do you know how many people are going to last second, over? They don't even look at the number, just hammer the over.
Yeah.
It's going to be wild.
All right. Next matchup we have is Auburn, number 22, going to LSU. LSU laying 3.5, over unders 55 on this one. Both these guys coming in at 3-1. LSU off a 28-25 win over Mississippi State. We covered that game last week. I lost on I bet the over. So But anyway, they covered on that one. And then Auburn off a 10-point win over Georgia Southern as a 27.5-point favorite. So a little bit of a letdown there. What's your bet on this one?
Yeah, well, you and me both lost on that game. So,
yeah.
You know, I mean, Auburn, they should have lost to Georgia State. But, of course, you know, there was that horrible catch call made after the review. I mean, Bo Nix was benched. We don't even know. At least I haven't seen. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me otherwise. Who's starting at quarterback for Auburn this week?
I assume it's Bo Nix. I haven't seen any. I guess I haven't.
Yeah,
haven't seen any different. But
I haven't either. But
you called it last week, though. You said while we were recording, some people think Bo Nix is good. I don't. Is what you said. So.
Dude, and I'll elaborate on that right here too, because I think on the road it's even worse. Now, he has a career 54.8 completion rate with 9 touchdowns and 10 picks on the road. Now, you're telling me he's going to go into LSU, and they always have a huge advantage at Baton Rouge, especially at night at that stadium. Auburn returned. I don't think that's happening. He's not going to play well at this game. It's not going to happen outside of his career norm. Auburn returned all 5 offensive line starters, but they were 77th in pass blocking last year. Now, LSU's pass rush is much better than Auburn's offensive line, I think. I think they're going to create chaos here. Yeah, give me LSU laying 3.5 here. I'm fine with the hook. I don't care.
See, I'm on the opposite side. I don't love this pick either. And again, it's really because it's what you said in Baton Rouge. I don't like that. But listen, Auburn is not all Bo Nix or whoever is at the helm right now. 257 rushing yards per game. You talked about their offensive line. I do think it's better. I mean, LSU's allowed 111 yards per game. Nothing crazy, but they also allowed 223 yards against UCLA. You got Bigsby and Hunter on the Auburn side that are solid, dual-headed running backs in that backfield. I do like Auburn for some reason, and it may also be because they're getting 75% of the sharp money too. Call that lazy, but I like that run game, and I think LSU can be exposed by it. I'm taking the points. I don't love it, but I'm taking them.
No, that's definitely fair. I mean, the rushing attack, if they don't stop the run, Bo Nix doesn't have to do anything.
Right. That's what I mean.
I could
turn and hand it.
Yeah, I could think whatever I want about Bo Nix, or I can give you the stats on him on the road, whatever. It won't mean anything if they just pound the rock all day long, which I'm expecting LSU to have more success stopping the run than the teams that Auburn has faced so far this year. But, I could completely be wrong about that. And this is going to be a good game to watch, I think.
That will be. I'm excited for that one.
That's a nightcap, so we can have a few drinks and just – we're probably already drinking all day long, and it'll be something to look forward to at night.
Yeah, and I'll be in Chicago in a bar somewhere celebrating with the wife. So, yeah, hopefully I can catch some or all of that game from Chicago.
Or you're just too messed up to even care, and that's the best way to be.
That's probably more likely, Joey, to be honest.
As long as you're having fun, who cares? And winning money.
All right, man, let's transition to the NFL. That was our last college game, unless you had any honorable mentions you wanted to throw in at the end there.
I do. Just real quickly, I like Oregon laying 8, and I like Troy getting 6.5. I like it more at 7, though, if you can buy that half point or if it somehow goes back up. But Troy plus 6.5 and Oregon laying 8.
Love it. Okay. All right. I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off for you, Joey, and I'm going to let you kind of have your soapbox for a minute. We're going to start by talking about Detroit at Chicago. Chicago laying 3 points this week. Over-under's 42. Detroit's 0-3 coming into this one. Chicago's 1-2. Detroit, tough, well-played game against Baltimore last week at 7.5-point dogs. So they covered that. If you remember, though, it was kind of a crazy ending, somewhat controversial with a couple missed calls, but Baltimore won on a historical 66-yard field goal. Chicago coming off that embarrassing 6-26 loss to Cleveland as 7.5-point dogs. They didn't cover. I hate to say it, I called that one, but I didn't think it'd be that bad. Joey, first of all, how did you feel about what you saw last week from Chicago? And do you think they can cover against Detroit this week?
Do you have any pills for migraines that you can throw my way? Because I've had a migraine since kickoff on Sunday. It's been brutal, man. I don't understand where Matt Nagy gets the sack to go up there and give press conferences and say that they've had great conversations and they're doing all they can to figure it out, but then not even telling people who actually is going to be calling plays, as if everybody that's watching this team play is just an idiot. And he basically was saying that, like, oh, it's, there's a lot about play calling we don't understand. Well, we understand you suck at it.
Yeah.
How about that? If I see one more freaking sticks concept, I don't even know what I'm going to do. But we're going to see probably plenty on Sunday. But unless Laser, we're going to find out real early. That's how I feel about this game. We're going to find out real early who's going to be calling plays, whether it's Laser, because they never really said, or it's going to be Nagy. And I don't know exactly who's going to be starting at quarterback. I mean, I guess if Dalton's healthy, it sounds like he's going to be starting. If he's not, then Fields will be starting. I haven't seen anything today. But, I don't care who the QB is. The Bears defense is much better than the Lions offense. And I know that the Lions have hung around with good teams like San Francisco, Green Bay, and Baltimore. And they should have won that game, if not for a Justin Tucker miracle 66-yarder off the bottom of the goal post and in.
Yep.
I think they'll get pressure in this game, though, the Bears defense. And I mean, if this doesn't light a freaking match under your ass that your job's on the line, I don't know what will. So you better figure it out and you better win this game. So, I mean, I'd buy the half point if you can. Get the Bears at -2.5 instead of 3. I think they usually take care of the Lions. I know last year they lost a game, but they usually have really good success against the Lions. And they're a well-coached team. We know that with Dan Campbell. He seems like he's doing a solid job there. But I think this could be a letdown spot as well for the Lions after losing in heartbreak fashion. And how many of these can you really have where it doesn't build up and get to an issue where it's like, no matter what we do right and we play good teams well, we just can't get over that hump. And I think the Bears are just like, you need to come out like with your hair on fire and thrash somebody. So I'm going with the Bears here.
Yeah, I'm not. I think in theory you're right. They should come out with their hair on fire and just pissed off and light it up. But you just get this vibe that they've just given up, that the players have just given up. And I think it's more. Fields was sacked 9 times last week, Joey. And I'm trying to sit there and I watched Red Zone, so I was kind of, I didn't see every play. I'm not sure how many of those sacks were due to Fields just being young and not knowing how to get rid of the ball or move around, or how much the ones I saw, it looked like some pretty shitty offensive line play. And it doesn't matter who you have back there.
And I don't want to cut you off, but it was also the fact that he was not max protecting, not once. I don't even know if he did it once. He was 5-man protection all game, no rollouts, just sit back there in the pocket and get killed by this superior defensive line. Like, I mean, it really is a better defensive line. It's dumb coach. And he was holding the ball a little bit too long at times too. So anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. No, I appreciate that feedback. Like I said, I was watching Red Zone most of the day, so I was catching it here and there. But, on the other side, Goff has been impressive, man. He's coming over. He hit 277 yards against that pretty good defense. No interceptions. And I can't ride the Bears right now. 47 total yards last week. That is just fucking embarrassing. I don't like that this is in Chicago. I think, if this was 2.5, I may consider it. But I'm not going to do it, so I'll take the points and until the Lions prove me wrong. I agree, though. They're due for a sizable letdown after some pretty competitive games against some good teams.
I can't fault you for that, though, because honestly, who in their right mind is trusting Nagy and the Bears offense right now? This game's going to be won. It's going to be won by the defense and average
100%.
play on offense.
Kansas City at Philadelphia. Kansas City laying 3, over-unders 54.5. Both these teams at 1 and 2. Kansas City coming off a 24-30 loss against the Chargers. A lot of people were shocked by this one. I wasn't. I shouldn't say I wasn't. I wasn't surprised that the Chargers were competitive. I'm surprised they beat them by almost a touchdown. Philadelphia coming off a pretty bad loss against Dallas. They were 3-point dogs, but lost by 20 points. I see this game, Joey, as a time for Kansas City to bounce back and get back to what we know they are. They haven't been in this position in terms of being last in the division since 2015. So I think Kansas City can be hurt by the run. We've seen that a lot in the past, and we've seen that this year already. But Philadelphia is 16th when it comes to rushing touchdowns so far on the season, so they're not gonna go crazy on the ground. And Philadelphia is 15th in the league in passing. So I don't see a whole lot of holes in the Kansas City defense that Philadelphia can exploit. I think Kansas City bounces back and shows that they're still a contender. Kansas City's not going anywhere, folks, as much as I or you would like to see them go away. There's some legacy heartburn being a 49er fan there, but I'm taking Kansas City. I'm taking the points. I think it's actually a pretty big bounce back win for Kansas City.
So you're saying you weren't happy during that Super Bowl they won?
No.
I wouldn't think so, yeah.
When you're leading by 20 at the half? No. Anyway.
That was brutal. Yeah, anyway, sorry. That's bad memories. KC laying the points. I agree with you. I'm on that side. It's just they're bound to cover a spread eventually, right? I mean, even if Vegas is having a great time trolling casual bettors, I think the pros have caught on, and they've been winning quite a bit off of the Chiefs lately here, not covering spreads. So Vegas will and has adjusted accordingly. I mean, I know the line's moved since it opened. I believe it opened at like 5.5. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, it's climbed a couple points. Yeah.
But even so, I mean, good teams win, great teams cover. This is the week KC does both. So give me the Chiefs -7. Philly just didn't look right against Dallas, and this is a much better offense. I think, even though Dallas has a very good offense too, I just think maybe not much better. Maybe that's not right to put them as much better, because I think with Dak, the Cowboys really have a good offense themselves. The Chiefs are bound to get it going and bounce back here. I'm with you.
Yep. Yeah, every week, I prep for my bets, and I'm going in, I'm looking at spread, against the spread ratings. It's like, how do the Chiefs not cover ever? And when are they going to cover? So it always gives me pause, but this week I'm good on that one. All right, Cleveland at Minnesota. Cleveland coming in, Cleveland laying 2 points, over under 52.5. Cleveland 2-1, Minnesota 1-2. We talked quite a bit about that Cleveland win over Chicago, 26-6, as 7.5 point favorites. So they did cover that last game. And then you've got Minnesota coming in. Maybe one of the bigger shocks of the league so far is Kirk Cousins and what he's been doing. But they beat Seattle last week 30-17 as 2-point underdogs. You go ahead on this one, Joey. Go ahead and kick us off.
So we've talked about in the past, even on this show, we've talked about how much Cleveland loves to run the ball. Kevin Stefanski loves to run with Chubb and Hunt, and he we'll
let Joey catch up there. He's got a little connection problem. No worries. I am taking Cleveland. This one is like one of those you look at on paper and then you dig in and you're still confirmed that it's the right pick. Minnesota is 20th in rushing yards allowed and 27th in passing. So while they've been doing some fun things on offense, that defense is still pretty questionable. And Joey mentioned it before he froze up there that Cleveland's going to run the ball down your throat, and I would too if I had Nick Chubb on my team. Kirk Cousins, I mean, you can't take away from what he's done. 918 yards already and 8 TDs through the air. So like I said in the intro, I mean, quite a nice surprise there for Minnesota fans. But yeah, I don't think Minnesota is running or throwing on this Cleveland team. They're fifth in passing and fifth in rushing defense when it comes to yards allowed. So I'm good with this one. This might be a lock for me. Cleveland -2. Also, take a look at the Minnesota injury report if you haven't already. They've got some concerns. Tyler Conklin, the tight end there, and then also Dalvin Cook, which is a little scary if you're a Minnesota fan. Both of those limited in practice this week, so a little scary if you're a Minnesota fan seeing those. But Cleveland -2 is an easy pick for me. All right, I'm going to keep trugging along here until Joey can get back with us. No worries, I'll ride solo for a minute. The next game we had was Baltimore at Denver. This line has jumped around. It's kind of weird. Joey and I were prepping for this, and we saw Denver -1. We were checking a little bit later. We saw Baltimore -1, and now it's at a pick 'em. So this is another one you're looking at on paper, and maybe it's a little historical bias, but it feels weird to see Denver and Baltimore so neck and neck like this. But hey, Baltimore coming in at 2-1, Denver at 3-0. Baltimore had that win we talked about a little bit ago, 19-17 over Detroit last week. They were 7.5-point favorites, so they didn't cover and weren't definitely kind of a letdown there. But Joey's back with us. Welcome, Joey.
What is going on? So I'm on my phone. I'm having a bunch of technical difficulties here.
No worries. Actually, I jumped ahead a little bit to Baltimore, Denver, but let's take a step back because I do want to hear your thoughts on Cleveland, Minnesota before we jump.
Cleveland and the Cleveland game.
Yeah, Cleveland -2 against Minnesota.
So we know how much these teams want to run the ball, right? Along with Cleveland, Minnesota does too, with Dalvin Cook or with Alexander Madison. I mean, he's probably one of the best number 2 running backs in the game. Talent from a talent perspective, and they're doing it at such a high rate. So I think, at least if we're going back from even last year's stats, I mean, Cleveland's doing it this year as well, but Minnesota will start running, I think, even more too. I think this is just going to be a slow-paced, just turtle race. So I like the under in this game, definitely.
I like that pick. I went Cleveland, Joey, before we lost you. I think I don't see a hole in this Cleveland defense that Minnesota can exploit. So I went Cleveland on that one. But I like that under too. That's a good pick.
No, I mean, early in the week, I bet Cleveland. I bet them +1.5 or +2 or something like that. Can't remember what I got them at, but so I do like Cleveland too. But I just, when I looked into it even more, I just love the under more. But I'm with you on the Cleveland side, definitely.
Cool. All right, then Baltimore at Denver, and I won't rehash what I talked about the line kind of jumping back and forth, and essentially I'm looking at this one as a pick 'em right now. Depending on which site you're at, which consensus you're looking, you could get Denver -1, you could get Baltimore -1 right now. So yeah, I mean, trying to remember where I left off, but Baltimore coming off that nice, that I shouldn't say nice. They were 7.5-point favorites, but that last second historical field goal win over Detroit. Denver coming off a 26-0 win over the Jets as 10.5-point favorites, so they covered that spread. Man, Denver's defense is solid. They're showing out right now. 26 points allowed per game is first in the league. They're third in the league in passing yards allowed and second in rushing allowed. But I feel like all that comes with this huge caveat that the teams they've played, Joey, are 0-9, right?
Yeah.
So I actually have weirdly, I have a lot of friends that are Broncos fans, and they're just all pumped. And I don't want to take the winds out of their sails. But hey, man, we need to see them play somebody, right? And we're going to see it this week. Baltimore's had some early season struggles, but it's still Baltimore. It's still Lamar Jackson. Hopefully, I'll talk about that in a sec. Baltimore, looking through their injury report, I don't think there's huge area for concern here. But Lamar Jackson didn't practice today. A little bit of a flare up in his back. I read multiple reports though saying it's not serious. He's should be good to go unless something happens. So do with that what you will. But you look on the other side, and Melvin Gordon's limited as well. So what are they going to do, right? It's tough because I'm not sure I know who either of these teams are quite yet. But I do think both teams this week are going to be forced to rely on the pass, and neither team has had a lot of success with the pass, Joey. I think if I pick, Baltimore is the clear and obvious pick for me on a pick'em base. But I like the under here at 45. I know it's kind of a weird one on a bet that should be clear. These teams are combined 4-2 on the under. So I think I'm going to go under just because I don't think the offenses are going to have much to go on this week.
Yeah, I don't expect much offense either. I think this is more of a running type of game. I will say, though, that I think Baltimore will have more success on the ground than Denver will. Denver could be out two of their offensive linemen, both left and right guard, starting left and right guard, are questionable and maybe even doubtful. They haven't been practicing this week. So I think there's a clear edge there. And I also agree with you. I think this is kind of I going into the season, I do like my preseason predictions. I had Denver picked to go 3-0, and this is where I stopped. I wasn't sure about this game. And I'm like, I know they've made some additions to the defense, but now you got Bradley Chubb on the IR. I'm not saying that's a huge drop-off. I mean, it is a huge drop-off, but they have an adequate replacement. But it's just not the same. And I think I like Baltimore here in a pick'em type of game. I'm taking the Ravens money line.
Yeah, I like that. I'm trying to not lean on my historical bias of Baltimore and Denver, right? Denver should be garbage and Baltimore should be incredible.
Yeah.
We're not there anymore. I think
I think Denver. I think Denver's a good team. I really do. I think they are a solid team. I just think the injuries are a little bit much right now. And then you have Baltimore getting kind of a wake up call last week, almost losing to Detroit. And I don't think they're going to take this team lightly. And I think they will outclass them a little bit here, but it's going to be tough. I mean, they're in Denver, so it's not going to be easy. I think it could be a close game, but I just think they have the edge here. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's good call. All right, Seattle at San Francisco. San Francisco laying 3.5. The over under here is 52.5. Seattle's 1-2. San Francisco is 2-1. We talked about that Seattle loss to Minnesota this past week as 2.5-point favorites, so quite a letdown. And then on the other side, and as a 49er fan, you can see my clock here. A letdown as well, a 30-28 loss against Green Bay on another, Mason Crosby last second field goal that really kind of broke my heart. I reviewing this game again, trying to keep my bias out of it. I am, however, though, going 49ers, Joey. And I think the Niners are going to be a little more healthy in this one. Elijah Mitchell is practicing again. And Hasty played last week. What does concern me is George Kittle a little bit banged up, didn't practice today to a calf injury, but again, I'm reading not a big deal. Seattle gave up 323 yards and 3 touchdowns to Cousins last week, and I think Kirk Cousins is showing out, but it's a concern that Seattle defense is. Again, this is another thing, like over the past decade, watching the Legion of Boom and especially me being a 49er fan, just getting eaten alive by Seattle defense. This is so weird, but ranked 30th in rushing yards allowed, ranked 26th in passing yards allowed. and you want to talk about injuries, and Tyler Lockett is limited as well. So if he's out, that could be a concern as well. I think San Francisco's defense has the edge here. 16th in the league in passing yards allowed and rushing, both. So not great, about middle of the pack, but I think they have the edge here. I'm going to take my 49ers at home. I'm going to lay the points.
So I have no issues with that pick. I couldn't come to terms with who I liked more on the spread and on the total, and I like that call though. Everything you mentioned, this is not the Legion of Boom anymore. It's pretty clear that it's not, but so I like that call. And the Niners are obviously having a ton of success on the ground, and Jimmy G's playing pretty well. So I think though what I'm going to go with in this game, this will be my first prop, maybe my only one of the day or the night, whatever you want to call it. I guess we're doing this at night, but whenever you listen to this, I'm taking Chris Carson over 64.5 rushing yards.
Yeah.
So I really think the Niners, they've struggled against the run a little bit this year as far as like 4.7 yards per carry. That's sixth worst in the NFL. Like yards per game wise, not as bad, but yards per carry wise, it's not good. And I think even what you said about Tyler Lockett, maybe being limited or maybe even not playing in this game, I think that might force Pete Carroll and the Seahawks to run the ball even more.
Yeah.
I mean, in 5 games against the Niners, Carson has averaged almost 83 yards per game, and he's averaging 67.3 this year. Only once out of the 3 weeks that he hasn't went over this margin or this over under, with 4.9 per attempt for himself. So I like Carson over 64.5, and that doesn't even mean that they'll win the game, but I think if they're going to even have a chance, they're going to have to use a lot of Chris Carson.
Yeah, good call. All right, last game of the week. Primetime matchup. This is being billed with all this emotion and everything, all these cheesy ass commercials. But Tampa Bay going to New England, the return of Tom Brady going to face his former Mr. Miyagi, Bill Belichick. Tampa Bay laying 7. Over under here is 49. I want to hear your thoughts on this one first, Joe.
So, I mean, yeah, like you said, we know the big story. Brady returns to Foxborough to take on his former team, to take on his former coach. He only needs 68 yards to break Drew Brees' all-time passing yards record. Became only the second QB in history to go for 80,000 last week against the Rams, which is damn impressive. Can't take anything away from the guy. Right. He is the GOAT for a reason. Maybe no one on earth knows Brady as well as Belichick does, but Brady and Gronk, don't know what his status is exactly. I haven't checked into that, but I know he got banged up a little bit. I think he probably will give it a go. I thought I saw something about him giving it a go.
He was still limited today, but or he didn't practice today, but reading the reports seem like it's likely.
Okay, good. And he doesn't want to miss this game. So I would imagine he'd be out there. And this is going to be a fun one to watch. Obviously, everybody's going to be tuning in to this game. New England's defense isn't going to be a cakewalk though for Tom. Even if he knows Belichick as well as he does, knows how he likes to run defense, they're only allowing 17 points per game. But I mean, at the same time, they also haven't faced an offense the caliber of Tampa Bay's yet. They've faced Zach Wilson. They've faced Tua, I believe. I mean, they have not faced guys this season. I mean, and Tom, when in doubt, just bet on the GOAT. So I'm laying it with the Bucs here, -7. I liked it better before it got to this point, but I think if you're gonna push, I'll take a push, but I'm thinking they'll win by 10 here.
Yeah, you basically hit on all my points as well. I'm doing the same. I was riding New England last week because I kept wanting to feel the Belichick magic, right? But as 3-point favorites against New Orleans, they got beat by 15. So I don't think it is what I don't think New England is. I don't think the Belichick impact on this New England team is what it used to be. And Brady's coming in off a loss, coming home.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of emotions there. Tampa Bay's still the best offense in the league. So yeah, I'm laying the points as well. I think this is all emotion. Brady pissed off. Going to break that record. Prove to himself in the world that it wasn't Belichick that brought him to prominence. And
so you're not buying some of the national media people that are saying that Tom Brady's going to be nervous about this game.
Fuck no. Tom Brady hasn't been nervous since, I don't know, since he took over for Bledsoe. He's a fucker. Don't get nervous.
Seriously, I don't understand where people get this stuff. I think that was a Mike Florio thing. I thought I heard him on the radio saying that. I'm like, what the fuck? He's nervous because he needs 68 passing yards to break a record. He knows he's going to break the record. What's he nervous about? Going home to New England where people love him?
Yeah, no. Nothing to be nervous about. He'll go out on that field and take it all in before the game starts, kind of shake off that feeling, I guess, that side of it. He'll be fine. Bucks will win this one, and I don't think it'll be particularly close.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. That is the last slate, or the last game of the NFL slate we had. Joey, let's start off with you. I want to hear what your crack 'em locks of the week are. We should probably crack one though, huh?
Yeah, let's do it. Can't forget about that. I got crack 'em. I got a Mardi Gras Bach, Abita Brewing right here.
Nice.
It's decent.
Mardi Gras Bach.
Yeah. Oh, it's decent. I got it when I was in New Orleans, and they started selling it up here, so I was like, yeah, why not?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so going with college. I was leaning LSU so much. I was leaning towards going with LSU. I'm not doing it. I am going to go with Ole Miss.
Okay.
So I think that game's going to be close. I mean, we talked about it already. I think Lane Kiffin's too good of a coach to let this Alabama team get out and just overpower them, especially offensively. I mean, Bama's got to be good defense, but look, I don't think Bryce Young, he's been checking down a lot. He's been very efficient. He's been very good, but he does check down, and sometimes he's a little bit hesitant to take off and run when he needs to take off and run. And I think that in a matchup like this, you're going to need to come out guns blazing. You're going to need to score a lot of points against Ole Miss. This I'm not saying that Ole Miss is going to win, like I believe Scott said, or would he say was that Arkansas? He said I can't remember.
Yeah, that was Arkansas. He was taking the money line.
Okay, which is still a bold ass call, but I like Ole Miss to at least cover here. That's going to be my lock for college.
Okay. My lock, you just mentioned it, is Arkansas to cover 18 against Georgia. I just, a lot of what you just said, it's just too many points. And I'm too impressed with what Arkansas has been doing against a solid A&M team last week. I just, I love what KJ Jefferson's doing. So many ways to beat you there. I like their trends. I like what the public and the sharps are doing. It all kind of came together for me on this one. My lock is Arkansas plus 18.
I love it.
You got a football or you got an NFL one?
Yeah, man. I feel like I was pretty convicted about this one. I hope I was. I was on my phone when I was talking to you, but some connection issues. Sorry about that.
It happens.
Ravens Moneyline. I think they're taking this game, and I mean I elaborated on it with the injuries that they have on the offensive line. I think the Ravens come out hungry here. Baltimore's tied for 8th in fewest yards per carry allowed too, also. So that Denver wants to run the ball with Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams, those two running backs. I don't think that Teddy will be able to throw as well against this team that he has against the other teams that he's played this year, because like we said, like you mentioned, they haven't played real competition yet this year. Yeah. So I know we use that a lot with college, but it's relevant in the NFL as well. And Baltimore just went through a dogfight against the freaking Lions. So I like the Ravens, definitely. That's going to be my NFL lock.
Yeah, I like that one. It was between that one and the one I chose. But I like Cleveland laying 2 on Minnesota. I said it before, I do like what Kirk Cousins has done, but not against this defense. I just don't see a hole in this Cleveland defense that they're going to expose. And then on the other side, you've got the best rushing attack in the league. So again, and you look at some of the injury report. If Tyler Conklin is out for Kirk Cousins, that's going to be a big hit too. And he was limited today in practice, so I'm going to be watching that close. But even with him, I like Cleveland -2. That one almost felt a little too easy for me to be. You know how that goes, right? When you're looking at a game and it almost feels a little too easy. You're wondering what the hell you're missing. I kind of felt like that with this one, but I'm not going to second guess it. That's my crack 'em lock of the week for NFL.
Yeah, man, I love it. I actually felt the same way about my crack 'em NFL lock. Like, why is there not more points in favor of why aren't the Broncos getting more points in this matchup? So we're kind of in the same boat with NFL this week.
And we'll figure it out. Well, you got any last minute honorable mentions that you want to throw out before we close down?
Yeah, I'm not sure what his receiving yards is at now, but Michael Carter over 8.5 is what I found it at with the Jets. And I mean, I'll have more prop picks with the article, so check that out, at ontapsportsnet.com. Quick little plug before you give the big plug. Yeah, definitely check that out. I do like Michael Carter, though. I mean, how often are we going to see a player catch 2 passes for 5 yards receiving? So that's what Michael Carter had last week, and I think he's been way more efficient than Ty Johnson. Johnson only caught 2 of his 8 targets so far this season, whereas Carter's caught 5 of his 8 targets this season. So they probably want to utilize the young rookie more in the receiving role than Ty Johnson. So yeah, Michael Carter over 8.5.
I like that. I'm taking note. All right, man. It's been real. This is I like this lineup this week. I feel good about it. I feel a little too good, which is always scary, but hey, we'll see. Yeah. Okay. As always, thanks for all of you to join us. We appreciate it. You can please go out to Twitter and follow all of us. You can follow at OnTapBets for the main account. Also follow our parent account at OnTap Sportsnet. You can follow me at Iowa Zach and Joey at the Riot 326. So as always, happy betting. Good luck.
Good luck.